So, good morning, my artsy friends. Happy Monday morning. Welcome to our regularly scheduled Monday morning live. I hope everyone is having an amazing morning and that you have enjoyed your weekend. Hopefully, you did some creating, some painting, some illustrating, some drawing, some whatever in order to advance your artistic journey. And I'm so glad that you took time out of your busy schedule to join me here this morning. Now, what we're going to be jumping into today, friends, is going to be sort of an experience video. Most of you may not know or may not have heard of, some of you may have heard of Artwell, which is a really budget friendly company that produces, in my opinion, some really good quality products at some very pocket friendly prices. Now, I will preface this by saying I have been working with Artwell for a couple of years now. Most of the products that I have by Artwell, I did not purchase. They actually sent the products to me for testing and reviewing purposes. Now, I'm throwing that out there from the top of this live just in case that makes any difference to you about the things that I'll say throughout the live, okay? I like to be very transparent. I think there's only one set of one thing from what I'm going to show you that I actually purchased, and we'll get to that in a moment. But the thing I like about the company is that they seem to be based on the conversations that I've had with the reps and who I think may actually be the owner. Um, they're very humble, down to earth people that are really grateful for anyone who helps push or promote their products and for those people who actually like and enjoy their products. Now, Artwell, as I said, is a budget company, so it's my opinion and my wholehearted belief that they do white label their products, meaning that they pick pre-existing products from a factory that already makes them in order to curate their own sets versus having a factory where they actually formulate, pan, and distribute their own products. Now, that's not a big deal. There are a buku of companies all across many different markets that do that. A lot of companies are that way. So that's not anything to say bad. I mean, as a matter of fact, when it comes to my own company and my own products, a lot of my products will, yeah, a lot of my products probably will end up being white label. And some of them will be private label where I build them from the ground up. That's just the way it works. I mean, even big companies like Paul Rubens white label some of their products. The Paul Rubens student grade watercolor set, without a doubt, in my opinion, is made by the same company that makes white knights. So it really doesn't matter how big or how small are. Excuse me. You're going to find that there are a lot of companies that participate in white labeling simply because it's more cost effective, quicker, and easier to get a product out to consumers and your viewers. So, just a little backstory, just so you guys will know where we're heading. Let's just take a look really quick, because you guys know I like to show you instead of just talking about it. Let's go over to Artwell's website really quick. Okay, I've been having internet issues this morning, and I'm really hoping that those internet issues do not interfere with today's live. I do want to go ahead and put that out there though, because right now I just had to turn off my Wi-Fi in order to get the phone to load, and I'm really hoping that that doesn't affect the live. But if you see some disruptions or you see some popping in or popping out or the video kind of freezing or whatever, just know that I am having a few internet issues this morning, and hopefully we'll get through it. So here I pulled up the artwell.com site. And of course, on its face, you automatically get recommended products, um, shot by collection. They carry acrylics, gouache, oils. They have refills for their gouache, which we're going to look at all of that in just a moment. Um, they have watercolors. Now, I am waiting like desperately on them to expand their collection a little bit more um, because I would love to see them release oil pastels, colored pencils, watercolor pencils, alcohol markers. I kind of throw my support fully behind a company when I realize that I like them and that the footprint that they're trying to make on the art community is a positive one. And we can't say that about all companies, right? And I've done the digging and the research into this company, their founding, the people that's behind it. And I do really feel like they may be reputable until something somewhere comes along and maybe proves me wrong. Okay. So I just want to kind of give you a glimpse over of their site. And I'm going to also go ahead and throw out that one of the reasons I chose to do this live is because September is Artwell's fifth year birthday anniversary being in business, and they are currently running a 20, and I'm sorry, a 15% off um, discount on any products ordered from their site, which I think is pretty cool, and it's a pretty good time to go check it out if you decide that you're interested in something they may be carrying. And if I'm not mistaken, I put the discount code in the comments. I mean, in the video description. I think I did. If I didn't, somebody let me know and I'll be sure to get it in there um, when the video is over, and I'll be sure to give you guys a discount code here live. But I think I put it in the video description. Let's start off by looking at the very first product I ever received from Artwell. Now, this is the only one I purchased. This was the very first product of theirs that I owned. And it was the product that got me really interested in their brand. Now, I've said this before. When you look at their branding and their packaging, you may automatically assume that it may be targeting scholastic, maybe kids. But quite the contrary, not at all. This is definitely a artist grade paint, and when I say artist grade, I do mean student grade. We've progressed to calling student grade artist grade now. I had someone kind of correct me on that. I think I said that before, and it's fine. I don't mind calling it artist, just so long as we don't cross the line and classify something as professional when it's not. And then, of course, it really just depends on how you look at it. But I ordered this 24 color tube set. There is a review for it on the channel under the Thrifty Review playlist, which you can go check out. The thing that I liked the most about this is I need to find those other two colors. I have no idea where they are. What I like the most about them are that they came in really huge tubes. You got 15 milliliters of paint per tube, which is pretty amazing considering the fact that the set at the time that I purchased it was in the somewhere between I think $25 and $30 range. I'm not sure if that's where the set is priced now. Let's see. Okay, so now this set is priced at $39.99. I don't remember it being $39.99 when I ordered it. But for 24 tubes of 15 milliliter paint, which I believe is white labeled by Superior Arts, I do believe that this is a formulation of their Superior Masters line or their professional line of paints that Artwell has white labeled into their 24 tubes. Now, there are several influencers and art reviewers out there on YouTube who have reviewed this paint right alongside me. It has received some pretty resounding feedback considering its price, the way the packaging looks, and I'm here to tell you, I don't think many people will be disappointed. Now, we're going to talk about some things. One of them being that I love the fact that, again, the tubes are big. They have really easy screw off big tops. There's no like foil covering the neck, so you don't get that medicine tube cheap paint feel from them at all. See if I can screw that top back on. And the consistency of the paints was really at the time that I got them equal. I don't remember experiencing any binder separation, anything like that. The pigments are really bright and vibrant. Let me show you how I panned them up. Now I panned them up at the time inside this palette, and I decided to put them into full pans. Now let's talk about this. As I mentioned, these are artist grade paints. So one of the things that you will experience with the particular tube set is some cracking. Now this can be offset by using a little glycerin, maybe a small smidget, teeny-tiny of honey in the paints when you pan them, just mix it in. That way, they won't evaporate, or the waters won't evaporate as quick, so they dry down a little bit more uniformly. Now, as you can see, I didn't experience that with all of them. Some of them dry down really well, and then, of course, others cracked. That played absolutely no part in the quality of the paint. Under no circumstances did the fact that some of them cracked diminish the fact that they are very bright and beautiful, very saturated. There's not a huge shift from wet to dry. You get a really dynamic color range. You have both primaries and convenience colors, so that if you wanted to pull the primaries out in order to do mixing, you could. Or if you decided you didn't want to mix and you just wanted to paint directly from the pan, as some people like to do, you actually have enough colors in the range to do that. These are watercolors, so unlike a dry medium, say color pencils or oil pastels or alcohol markers, you don't necessarily need as many or as much of the product in order to produce a creation that you're trying to create. However, very blendable, very mixable. I did not find that they mixed into mud super easily. They reacted really well to salt. They glazed beautifully, especially in mass tone. And I will say that I did not have an issue with them lifting. Now, lifting is a funny thing because lifting not only depends on the paints, their formulations, and whether they contain a lot of dye, but lifting also depends on the paper that you're creating on, the sizing that's in that paper. So there are a lot of things that play a part in whether a paint lifts well or not, so to speak. But across the spectrum, I was pretty happy with these. And this is my very first introduction to the Artwell brand. Wasn't disappointed. Now, of course, as I said earlier, the appearance might be a little off-putting, but trust me on this, the quality is so much different. I'm really happy that they decided to put the money into the actual paint versus the packaging, because we've all experienced that thing where we have these beautifully packaged products and then we paint with the product and we were like, yeah, so we definitely know where the money went. That was not the case with Artwell. Now, I did find that some of the labels did lift off. I noticed that Lindsay the Frugal Crafter also did a review on these years ago, and she had the same issue with the labels kind of lifting off. Maybe there's just an imperfection with the glue that's on it. So, whatever factory they have pushing these out, they probably want to say something to them, or hopefully, because I've had these for almost 3 years. So, hopefully at some point they have said something to them so that they could get that labeling situation corrected. Now, real quick, let's look at the swatches, the true swatches, because you guys know I do bigger swatches. I have had these paints so long, I had to go back and pull out my old swatching binder that's like full of stuff. Full of stuff. I actually still have pages left in this binder, believe it or not, to put stuff in. Um, and this is just a photo album that I turned into a swatching binder. But anywho, let's just take a look here. Um, the Artwell. Here we go. So this is the swatching for the Artwell tube set. Hopefully there's not a lot of glare in that. Hold on, let's let the video catch up so I can see. I'll tilt it this way until then. Just because I'm not quite sure. I see that there's a little lag. Okay. Okay, it's not too bad laying down. All right. So here's where we are on the bigger swatches. Now, as you can see, these paints do come with pigment numbers, which is a really great thing for an artist grade paint because a lot of them don't. Now, I do understand there's going to be plenty of people who do not care about pigment numbers, but understand that there are plenty of people who do, especially those who do commission work and do like illustrations and paintings for a living that may hang in museum conditions or may be exposed to some type of light. And the normal case is when it comes to really budget friendly products, you don't necessarily get all of the artist information with it. I do like the fact that Artwell releases the artist information that they've received from the factory that's producing the product for them alongside their products. Now, What I'm about to say may be a little controversial, and I'm okay with that because most people who follow me in any shape, form, or fashion know that, I try to do as much research as I can. I stand behind what I say, and I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong and putting a correction out there and being corrected. No problem with it at all. I take pause with companies that are private about the artist information that comes along with paints or any type of product, especially when they're charging more than 20, $25, $30 for them. I feel like this is something that will help a person determine what paints they may want to paint with, what paints they may want to paint with, what paints they use in a particular project that may be fugitive, may fade, what paints may hold up. So the artist information plays a big part in all of this. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. As I told you earlier, pretty dynamic color range here. Love the greens. Their sap green is pretty. Their sap green is really, really pretty. They use PR 101 for a light oxide red, and it kind of threw me that they had both a light oxide red and a burnt sienna both in the set, along with a burnt umber. But it was okay. It's okay. And all three of those are made up of the PR 101 pigment versus the PBR 7s. So, depends on which one you like, whether you'll like those. But as you can see, those are still really bright and vibrant. Look at the granulation in the ultramarine. Gorgeous. Look at the granulation in the cobalt, which is made up of PB29, which is the pigment that makes up ultramarine. They just threw a PW6, which is titanium white, in that mixture in order to get that cobalt color, but it still has beautiful granulation to it. Yeah, I even like the permanent red violet. PV19, which is a pretty stable pigment. And what I did like is that I did not, most of them were single pigment colors. And as you can see, not a lot of them have a white mixed into it. The cerulean blue and the cobalt blue would be the only two that had a white mixed into it. The rest of them were single pigment or dual pigments. And even the dual pigment colors are made up of pretty stable pigment numbers. If you believe the light, fast, and pigment and artist information that's offered with it. Keep in mind, again, they don't produce their own products, and I'm pretty sure that they have not paid for third-party light, fast testing, like on the ASTMD, on the the ASTM scale. I wholeheartedly believe that they're taking whatever factory produces the paints for them word on the light fastness. So that's all something to consider. All something to consider. Let's look at the next product. Next thing that happened is Artwell decided to, once they saw me posting and talking about the 24 tube said in the review and all that good stuff, they reached out and decided to send me a care package. And that care package contained their 24 half pan count of glitter watercolor. It contained their 24 half pan count of artist watercolors, which would be the half pan counterpart to the ones we just looked at. They sent me 2 pads of their Artwell paper, which is 100% cotton. I've used it all up, so I didn't have any for this video to show. I guess I could show you guys. Where is that journal? Hold on. I can show you the sketchbook I made from the last of that paper. So this sketchbook, one of the last ones I made for myself, that's not going up or not being sold. It is bound with the 100% cotton paper by Artwell. And as you can see, it does really well with taking paints. Now this, as I said, I did to submit over on the Coquio Camelin website. So this was painted with Camel Artist watercolors, not Artwell, but the paper itself is Artwell. Now there's a little bit of a buckle to it, as you can see, a very slight wave, not a huge one at all. It actually dried down pretty flat, and it held the vibrancy and the colors of the paint really well. So, really good paper. So they sent the glitter watercolors, the regular watercolors, and they sent 2 pads of their Artwell watercolor paper, 24 sheets, 9 by 12, 100% cotton, 140-pound acid free. So I've used both pads of the paper. The paper is pretty decent to be a 100% cotton budget paper. And you get like 2 packs of that paper for like $23, $24. Not a bad buy at all. I have to throw that out there. So let's just take a look real quick at what we have here. You will recognize this type of packaging. I initially thought maybe Paul Rubens was the company that was white labeling their paints. Okay. And the reason I thought that is because this type of packaging is indicative of Paul Rubens and the way they do their packaging. They're really cute, soft cloths wrapped around the really colored and cute tins. So initially I kind of thought, hmm, are they getting these from Paul Rubens? Because make no mistake, Paul Rubens has a 24 half pan set and a 24 glitter pan set that are packaged almost identically to these, with the exception of it has Paul Rubens logo and branding on them. So I was thinking, it could be. But I thought then I started to think about the connection of most art companies here in the US and thought to myself then why couldn't it be the same in China? As far as I know, Superior and Paul Rubin have some type of affiliation with each other. Now again, I don't know that to be 100% true, but I do know that Lightwish, the distributor for most Paul Rubin products here in the United States, also carries Marie's Masters paints, which is a white label of Superior's master level paints. So there's a good chance that all of these companies, in some shape, form, or fashion, kind of tie together when they come from one particular region or one particular place. We're all pretty aware of how umbrella companies work. You can have a major umbrella company that has many, many different brands and names up under it. And they'll have factories that produce products under different brands that have similar makeup, similar content, similar formulation. So, as far as I know, because I don't work for any of them, I just state everything that I do based off of experience of using the products. They could all be linked. Now, I do believe that Paul Rubens' formula is a better quality than Artwell's formula, but that doesn't mean that they're not coming out of the same factory or that they don't have a connectivity. I just don't know. And companies are not normally very forthcoming about that particular type of information. So the 24 half pan set comes in this beautiful green tin. And as you can see, you get 24 half pans are very pretty. They call it glitter. Some companies call it metallic. Call it whatever you want it to. It has mica in it. Um, and it's normally pretty dye based. Let's be clear. Now, I really did like these. I like these for a lot of reasons. One being up until purchasing this, or I'm sorry, receiving this set, I had not run across a pearlescent metallic or glitter watercolor that was opaque as these. Ironically enough, the only other glitter or metallic watercolor set that I've ever used that has just as much opacity as these do would be ding, 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 ding. You guessed it, Paul Rubens 24 half pan of glitter or metallic watercolors, whichever you want to call them. It is almost the same lineup, color for color. Pretty astounding, if you ask me, for them to be, different entities. So I wasn't disappointed. These are not as light fast as I would say as like their tubes or as the half one's going to be. I mean, you're going to have more things added into the formulation. One to make these opaque, and two to make these glitter or shine. But overall, very good paint, very good quality paint. They cover really well. Again, Artwell Products does not have a huge shift from wet to dry. And that's something that's actually important to me as someone who likes to illustrate, especially things that are going to be reproduced. So here is the swatching sheet for, let's see, here we go. These are the swatches for the Artwell glitter watercolor, and I only swatched them on black paper, really because I wanted to see how they would stand up and perform. I think at the time that I did this video, the review video for these, again, you can find on the channel under the Thrifty Review playlist. I think I may have swatched them on white paper too, but I only kept the dark one. Think that's how that went. Now, this is a little trick I picked up from Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter, who said she picked it up from another viewer who left her the advice to kind of take those wrappers that the half pan is wrapped in and cut off the relative information and just stick it on your swatching sheet and then swatch the color under that. That way you'll have a really good color reference. And here, these little swatches gave both the stock number for each color as well as the color name. I don't recall this set coming with pigment information. So that was one of the only drawbacks, I think, to the glitter set. But if I'm using glitter watercolor, I'm gonna be very honest. I'm not expecting it to be light fast. I'm using it to have fun and to create something pretty, more than likely a card or a journal or something that I'm going to scan and reproduce. Which I also throw out. I think that they scan well too, these glitter watercolors. It's been my experience in the past to have glitter watercolors that are really full of mica and they shine really well on the paper. And then when I went to try to scan, copy, or reproduce what I created, the shine and the sheen is sort of gone. I did not experience that with these. So I do think that's something that I want to throw out that's pretty relevant. So they can definitely be illustrated with. So that's their glitter watercolors. They sent in that same haul a set that I've been using here recently for the Thrifty Cheap Art Challenge, which we'll talk about some of that in a moment too. Here is the swatch sheet that came along with it. I do believe that the paper that's included inside their packaging for swatching is the same paper that's inside their paper pads. I really do. It holds up really, really well to a lot of wear and tear. And again, I really love the non-shifting of the colors. Here again, just like the 24 tube set, you get a really nice dynamic range of bright and beautiful colors that don't have a huge shift, layer well, glaze well, lift well, depending on the circumstances. I love the fact that you have, again, convenience colors in case you don't want to mix. Uh, Primaries that you can pull out if you just want to stick to mixing. And again, here you have mostly single pigment colors. Very few have white mixed into them. Like that peacock blue. That peacock blue says PB17. I would be willing to bet that that probably has a PW6 in it. Unfortunately, it's not disclosed there. Um, Outside of that, though, every color in here, with the exception of one, two, three, yeah. So three out of the 24 colors are dual pigment. Everything else is single pigment. That's pretty impressive for an artist grade paint. It really, really is. If you look at the half pans, these, unlike these are definitely machine cut. You can tell from the domes they have going over the top of them. And they're not fast wearing. That's what I like. I've used these paints quite a bit. As you can see, of course, ultramarine blue is probably one of the most used colors of mine. And I've been digging in that one, and it's not giving much resistance. There's still plenty of paint left in that half pan. So I think that is pretty amazing. You know, let's be clear, keeping in mind that we are talking about an artist or quote unquote slash student grade product. So I'm judging all of this on that level. I'm not judging this as I would a professional level product because that's not what we're talking about. And I think it's very important to keep that in mind. Um, yeah, so beautiful 10. And you can definitely refill the half pans with the tubes if you have both sets. The colors are pretty universal across both sets. I don't remember there being a dramatic difference in the colors you get. Let's just take a look here. This is the swatching sheet for the half pan set. As you can see, I just kind of pull the wrapper off the label. and put it down on a swatching sheet. Again, you got beautiful granulation there in your ultramarine and your cobalt. And these do come with the artist information, so pigment information, light fast information, and transparency information listed on each of the wrappers for each of the paints. Again, the only one that I did experience that with would be the glitter watercolors. So that was the second group of products that I received from Artwell. And then they released a gouache, and I lost my mind. I lost my mind. They released the gouache. I reached out. I said, so, hey, I hear you have a gouache set now available. I would love the chance to try it and review it for my audience. And of course, in classic Artwell fashion, they said, of course, we would love for you to test and review it for your audience. Let me tell you, I love companies that are willing to work with smaller influencers, excuse me, that don't have like 100,000 subscribers. I mean, because let's be clear, I don't even have 3,000 subscribers on this channel. I've been doing this for quite a while. The algorithm, for some reason, just doesn't push my videos like it does a lot of other um, art influencers, art reviewers, artists on YouTube. And that's not me complaining. That's not a complaint. I'm very happy with the community and the family that I've built. Would I love for it to grow? Absolutely. But if I'm only blessed to have the people who love and support me, then I'm still blessed. And that's honestly how I feel about that. So let's wrap these on up and take a look at the next product. So as I was saying, they released gouache, and I was like, "Oh, baby!" Actually, the gouache may have came out before they actually sent this care package. I really just don't remember the timeline, if the truth is told. So they released a gouache set, my friends, and I'm gonna get this up on the table, and then we're gonna check the comments, see if there was any questions, see what you guys have been chatting about. But let's get this up on the table real quick. All right. And that's where we're going next. If you can see any of the studio lights reflecting in this, I do apologize. Let's see if I can sit something up under it that may help eliminate that. Let's see. I don't know if that's gonna hold. Okay, it's holding. Wonderful. Super sweet cakes. And I love her family. I love her. Aren't her kids just like the most adorable little munchkins on the face of the planet? Uh, do you? All right. So looks like I'm caught up in chat. Okay, Nicole. Have a good meeting. I think we're caught up in chat. So let's jump back in and move on. And we are looking at the very first Artwell gouache release. Now, my friends, Artwell did not come to play when they released their gouache. I think the owners really took time to look at all of the jelly gouache that was out there on the market and figure out how can we be different? What can we do that no other company is doing that is going to be appealing to consumers? So let's take a look and see what they did. Here you have a 42 count, 50 milliliter cup gouache set. Now let's make no mistake, this is a $50 set. It was $50 at the time they first released it. I think it's still somewhere around $49.99 if I'm not mistaken. Somebody might want to look that up and verify that. But yeah, I think it's still around the $45, $50 mark. So what you got or what you get, what I love is that the palette itself comes with a four-side latched airproof ceiling top. Okay, let me move these out the way. And when you remove or when you flip the top over, the first thing you're going to notice is that I do not have any paint on my lid. And you're asking yourself, how is it possible that you are using a jelly gouache set that has no paint on the lid? Well, I'll show you that the answer to that in just a minute. But I do like the fact that they have the foam rubber in here that is glued in, and it is thick enough so that once the top is closed, the foam presses down into each of the jelly cups. You can see the indentation of each of the jelly cups in that foam, letting you know that it is pressing those cups down to condense and keep the air out. Okay. This is where the innovation came in, though. They put lids on the gouache. I was blown away. I was blown away. I was like, are these lids? Am I looking at lids on jelly gouache? Because up until that point, every single company that released, up until this point, should I say, every single company that released jelly gouache simply released it where you pull the plastic film off the top and then you had open exposed product that you closed up with their lid, which typically transferred paint from your jelly cups to the top of your lid. It could get messy. And then with jelly gouache, you don't really want to let it just dry out or dry down because it can become cracky and crumbly. So to help prevent all of that, outside of just doing the airtight lid, they also put lids on each individual cup. So each individual jelly cup is going to come with a lid that has both the stock number and the color name. Inside, they are going to include color swatching chips that you can put on each one of the lids to help you make quick reference to the color that you're grabbing. As I stated to you earlier, these are 50 milliliter cups, so you're getting quite a bit of gouache in there. Now, make no mistake, this set is ooh, 3 years old at this point. And as you can see, I still have a semi-moist, pliable paint in there. That re-wets really easy, and it hasn't dried down to be crumbly and cracky. Now, I've used this set quite a bit. The set we're going to look at in a minute is probably going to be a little bit wetter because I haven't had them as long. But I was just blown away at the fact that you were getting so much. See, some of these colors I've never even used. You're getting so much color in each one of these lids, and then it just like snaps on the lid and you put it back in the container. Okay, so as you can see, I've used some of this. And this is normally how I use my jelly gouache. I'll take like a palette knife and dig some of it out and put it on a palette and then just put the cup back into the set and close it up to try to help keep the paint pliable. But very gorgeous. 42 colors, and has watercolor properties, so you can mix them to make many different other variations and shades and tints of any particular color that you want to. Not that you would need to with 42 colors. I also was a really big fan of the fact that, let me make sure before I say that. Is it this set? One of the sets come with two whites. It must be the other one. It must be the other. But you get a pretty dynamic range of colors. Again, this is a gouache. The pigment particles inside a gouache are going to be ground much heavier than those inside of a watercolor. So you're expecting these to be much more opaque and to hold much more, and to dry down with a really matte finish. So let's take a look at the swatches for this. So the great thing about gouache is that you can pretty much use it on almost any surface, almost any surface that you want. So I, when I initially, wait a minute, where is it? Okay, so I have to be Artwell wash. It was a metallic wash. Okay, that was the other release. All right, so this was the original 42 color release. And I'll talk about why I have the red boxes there in a minute. As you can see, they were very opaque paints. They dry down, as I said, with a really matte velvety finish to them. I love the fact that I didn't experience any cracking of the paints falling off of the surface that I use them on if I use them in a really heavy consistency. I mean, you do get a little bit of transparency with some of them, but I want you to pay attention to the fact that I did not put a glazing layer on those swatches. And some of them are still opaque to the point where you can't even see the black line through it hardly. So they were giving me everything I wanted. But I didn't really see a huge difference. Like for instance, these are definitely more opaque than say Hemi, in my opinion, the Hemi Jelly Gouache. They're more opaque, in my opinion, than say the Arteza Jelly Gouache. The only other jelly gouache that I have found to be just as opaque, to have just as velvet of a matte finish, and to be just as bright and beautiful would be the Anagani set. The difference is the Anagani set, although very similar to this one, doesn't come with the lids, and the paint dried out much quicker than it would with art oil. So I just think it was absolutely genius. I just think it was absolutely genius for them to do the lids. And I'll throw this out there. To this date, they are still the only company that produces jelly gouache that has lid on it that I know of. That I know of. So definitely everything that I'm showing you is something that I would recommend. Like I said at the top of this video, Artwell is having their 5th year birthday anniversary. They have a 15% discount going on any of the products you buy from their site at this particular moment. I'm going to, did I put that in the video description? I think I put the discount code in the video description. Then I don't know, maybe a year after they released that original gouache set, they must have had some masterminding going on in the background because they decided to release another gouache set. But in classic Artwell style, they didn't do anything small. They went big with this one too. So they released another, another 42 count, 50 milliliter gouache set. But this time they mixed it up a little bit. And this set contains 24 metallic colors and 18 basic colors. Now, when Artwell originally sent this to me, I thought to myself, okay, well, at least I know that the 24 metallic colors will all be brand new colors that I don't have. But I was just naturally assuming that the 18 basic colors would be colors that I already had in the original 42 Jelly Gouache set. Boy, was I wrong. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my coffee. Um, so all their products are manufactured in PRC, People's Republic of China, just in case that matters to anybody. Again, this second set came with 4 snapping sides. It came with the same uh, foam in the top of it that presses down into the top of the lids to help keep it airtight. They also came with the lids on this set as well. The major difference being there are 24 metallic colors in this. So, and yes, this is the one that had the 2 whites. You have a metallic white and then you have a pearl white in this set. 24 metallic colors. Let's just take a look here. Same difference with the other one. You get the color number and the color name on the top. They include a swatching sheet to help you make quick reference of the color that you're picking up. You're getting 50 milliliters of color in it, and you're getting 50 milliliters of beautiful metallic paint. Now, this is metallic copper. I use this one on a regular basis. I use the metallic copper on a regular basis. I use um, the metallic gold on a regular basis. Look how gorgeous that is. Look how gorgeous those colors are. Um, let's see. Let me even show you like a metallic lemon yellow. Even with the common colors that they took metallic, they have this really kind of slight mica sheen to them that makes them very beautiful. And here's the thing: there's not a lot of metallic gouache on the market. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if I've seen anybody else produce a metallic gouache. Please feel free to jump in the comment section and correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know so I can put that out there. But I'm not sure if I've seen any other company produce a metallic gouache. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but I could be. Um, so 50 milliliters of those colors, and like I said, you get 24 of those, and then of course you get 18 of your standard colors. As you can see, I haven't even opened that one, and I didn't open any of the standard color gouache in this particular set because have pretty much everything open over in the original 24 set. The only thing that I opened inside this set would be the metallic colors, and I may have opened a color here or there to paint with because I believe I was just trying to paint with the things that came in this set versus when I was reviewing it versus painting with anything out of the other set. I would have to really find the ones that are, let's see. Oh, well, maybe not. Maybe I left all of those closed. But anyway, you still get 42 gorgeous colors, 24 of those being metallic, 18 being regular. Let's take a look at the swatches for those. Okay, what did I do with this swatch book? That's crazy. There we go. So, looking at, okay, so here is the swatching for the 24. Really, so the second set was released last year in 2024, and here you see I say that there are 7 crossover colors, which brings me to why I have the red rings. So the red squares indicate the 7 colors that cross over from the original 24 set to the art wheel set. I mean, the second release set with the 24 metallic colors in it. Hopefully, I said that right and that makes sense. Um, which means that if there are 18 basic colors in here and only 7 of them cross over to the colors that's in the original 42 set, then this set actually contains 11 new basic colors that are not included in the original 42 set, which helps to expand the gouache palette that you have if you decided to buy the second set, which I thought was a really good thing. So not only would you be adding 24 metallic colors to the collection, you would also be adding 11 additional basic colors that you did not already have from the original set. And as you can see, still very opaque. Actually, I think these may have, I don't know if the formula changed a little bit, but these seem to be a little bit more opaque across the spectrum for the 18 core colors in it than the original set was. And then when you look at the metallic colors, which I separated the 24 metallic colors and swatched them all out by themselves. And that's been in there a little over a year now. You can see the slight metallic sheen to some of the regular colors. The ones that you would expect to stand out a lot do the copper, the gold, even like that turquoise. What is it? A metallic turquoise? Is that what it called? What is it called? Metallic. It's a green. Is it light gray green? Nope, that's not it. That light gray green is something that's that color. 221. Where's 221? Here we go. Oh, okay. So it's metallic emerald blue is what they call it. But it's more like a turquoisey teal color. Gorgeous, beautiful color. Or pot of paint there. Look at that. So pretty. I love, 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 love what they did with these. I really, really do. I think that they hit some stuff on the head here. They really did. Here I did some color mixing, and I was actually mixing with the metallic set, and the mixes came out really clean and beautiful. There was no mud or anything of that nature. So rest assured that if you were to purchase the original 42 set and then the second release 42 set, it's not like you're purchasing a bunch of duplicate colors. There's only 7 colors that duplicate themselves between those two sets. And for a total of 84 colors in all, that's not bad. That's not bad. Again, you're looking at a set that costs about 50 bucks. But you are getting 50 milliliter cups, 42 50 milliliter cups of individual paint, and a pretty unique palette design to help keep those paints pliable um, and safe. So I'm not mad at that at all. But they did not stop there. They did not stop there. With the release of this second set, somebody told them that their gouache was doing super popular, which they didn't feel to them. And Artwell decided to release individual curated cups or sets. Now you can get these. I think the smallest one I saw is you can get a set of 9 50 milliliter gouache cups if you don't want to start off with the like big 42 set, right? So let me show you what I mean. Um, where was I? Safari. Yeah. So let me show you what I mean here. If we look at their gouache, it's going to take that a second to load because I'm on sale. I had to turn the Wi-Fi off and put it on sale. So here you can get a 2 cup set, or these are basically refill sets where you're trying to replace a color. You can get a 2 piece 50 milliliter set for $7.99. So basically 100 milliliters of gouache for $8. That's crazy. That's crazy pricing. I don't care what nobody say. That's some good pricing there. And you, of course, they have refills of the most popular colors like vermilion, ultramarine, their violet, the viridian, spring green, titanium white, sparrow, which is like black, um, sky blue. So you can get refills of pretty much every color that they offer, right? But what I was trying to show you was like the introductory or what I would call the starter sets to their gouache because they are, is it at the top? Okay, come on. Let's try this again. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, they make a nine, or they released a 9 cup set, just in case you did not want to start with 42 paints. And you can either get the pastel in a 9 cup set, and that's running $17.99. So just think about all that paint, right? You can get a mixed cup set, which is probably be, it's going to be mixed between the core basic colors and a few metallics in it as well. I can see you get the metallic gold and the metallic copper. And it looks like the metallic silver is in that set as well. A white, a primary yellow, red, and blue, a convenience green, and a black. So that's actually not a bad place to start if you just wanted to test them out. And again, that's 18 bucks, right? There is the basic set, which you're going to get the basic mixing colors in here. So there won't be any metallics, but you get your primary red, yellow, and blue. You get a couple of convenience greens. You're going to get a black, and I don't think there's a white, which kind of surprised me. I don't think there's a white in the basic set, and I do think that's something Artwell may want to revisit. They may want to revisit that. I don't think there's a white in that 9 color set. And then, of course, you can just get the 9 set strictly metallic with all metallic cups in it. So a lot of different ways to purchase their gouache. Let's just take a look at how the refills come. So it'll come in a package like this. It'll have 250 milliliter cups in it with the lids. They are not being skimpy on the lids. They're not cheating you out of it. This, in this case, is a sap green refill. Now they did let me pick the refills. They let me pick the refills that I wanted. So I picked ultramarine, rose red, indigo, sap green, and deep blue. So basically, I picked a primary mixing set, and then two convenience colors, dark indigo and sap green. That way I could just like grab these on the go if I needed to instead of taking like the real big set with me. So many different ways to get their products. 50 milliliters. As you can see, I haven't opened these because I haven't had the need to. So I have more gouache than I even know what to do with. And I am so excited to see what this company decides to do next. I really, really am. So, across the spectrum, I am a huge fan of Artwell products. I think that they are a really good budget grade company that produces really good quality artist products that are not so ridiculously priced that you can't sample a little bit here and there to decide if you are interested in them. And then if you are, the sets, the bigger sets themselves are not outrageously priced considering what you get. All right, friends, before we jump into doing a little quick kind of play around illustration, I want you to know this is not going to be anything too serious at all because we spent quite a bit of time talking about those products. But I always like to do some type of illustration with you guys. As you know, we're right smack dead, or we're past the middle now. It's the 22nd. We're almost approaching the end of um, the Thrifty Cheap Art Challenge. Ironically enough, today is the 22nd. The prompt for today is coffee. So, what I decided to kind of quickly illustrate for you guys today would be a glass. Yes, I said a glass of coffee and a donut. You're asking yourself, Thrifty, a glass of coffee? Yes, a glass of coffee. Because the original illustration had a donut and milk in it. And I decided that I'm not going to put milk in the cup. I'm going to put coffee in the cup because I'm the artist and I can do that. And you can do that too. Put whatever you want to put in your cup. Okay? Your glass, whatever. I am taping down the back of my paper, or I'm putting it on the back of my paper so that I can not tape it down on the sides. And I am just going to put that down on my mat. Cover it up and smooth it out so that I don't have my fingerprints all in it. And we are going to grab, I may end up using, I should have put milk in it. I should have just painted it like it was so I could show you guys the white gouache, but whatever. I'm going to pull out the 24 half pan set of the Artwell watercolors to paint this with. And this is me tackling the prompt coffee. that's, on, that's on my list. So basically I have a glass and a donut. Let's get this done. Paint whatever you want. You don't have to paint this if you want to paint along with me. I will ask that if you're already here and you're enjoying the live, please don't forget to go ahead and sprinkle a little love and give the video a thumbs up. Please feel free to share it so we can get other eyes on the channel, on the community, and start to grow the subscription and the viewership and all those good things that all of us YouTubers have to fight against when it comes to the algorithm. It is your help that helps us, without a doubt. Ooh, that's a bougie order to have, the ice taken back out. Absolutely, Kaylin. Absolutely. Sounds like people at Starbucks, doesn't it? Don't be mad at me if you're a Starbucks fan. Don't be mad at me. It's okay. I like Starbucks too. I'm more of a Dunkin' Donut fan as a Midwesterner, but hey, it is what it is. All right. So I'm going to keep this really cute and quick. We're not going to do too many layering of this or that. First things first, I want to put in some type of a tabletop and a background. So I'm going to grab what is this? This is I got gouache out under my fingernails at this point. This is a number 8 Artigua round synthetic squirrel brush. And if you guys have never heard of the Artigua brushes, they are a super, super good brush. Lindsay the Frugal Crafter has a review form on her channel if you want to go check it out. But they are super economical. You get a lot of them, and they are a really, really nice synthetic squirrel brush if you like synthetic squirrel. All right, let's mix up a gray. Like I said, we're going to keep this pretty straightforward and simple. So I think this is ultramarine that I had dried down over here. We'll grab a little bit more of that ultramarine, which is probably, well, my second favorite blue. My favorite blue would have to be Prussian blue. Yes, even with its light fast issues, it would still be my favorite. And then I'm going to grab some burnt sienna to mix into that ultramarine blue so we can get us a nice gray. Now, we do have a pre-recorded video coming up this Wednesday where we are going to be tackling one of the prompts from earlier in the month, which is crystal. But of course, I put a different spin on it, and instead of painting like amethyst or sapphire or emerald, I chose to actually paint a crystal ball to play off of the word crystal. And I'm going to be sharing that with you guys on our Wednesday pre-recorded release video. I just want a gray, a small gray here. We'll water that down. And then we will, I'm going to have to turn my little cutting mat a little bit because I taped everything down. I'm going to actually wet my countertop here. I was talking to somebody the other day. We were talking about different painting techniques. And the person said to me that they had never done negative painting. And I was like, a little confused, I'm going to be honest, because I was thinking, never done negative painting? How is that possible? And the more we talk, the more I realized that the person may not have truly understood what the negative painting was. And so I said, so have you ever painted a background? And the person was like, yeah, of course. And I said, so have you ever painted your background around your focal object? And the person was like, yeah, of course. I said, well, you've been negative painting the whole time. It just simply means to paint around an object, not the focal image, but the things that are around it to help bring it out. And it's a wonderful technique to employ in a lot of different circumstances. I just thought that was an interesting conversation. I love talking to people and learning about their artistic journey and their different opinions and the things they feel about this or that. I'm gonna grab some of that gray I just mixed up, and we're gonna go ahead and do this tabletop. We're gonna keep it real quick, one layer straight forward. Is gonna shift because we wet the background, and it should shift light enough for us to be able to put some shadows on that'll stand out pretty well. Now, I am not painting on Artwell's paper. As I told you guys, I don't have any left, and I did not want to paint in that sketchbook I made today. The paper that I'm painting on is actually paper that I'm testing for my own sketchbook. So as most of you know, I make my own custom sketchbooks in addition to working on a sketchbook release with a factory. So the paper that I'm thinking about that I'm working with the factory to put into my um, factory release sketchbooks versus the one that I make custom, I had them send me a lot of that paper so that I could test it myself before those sketchbooks came out. And I like it. I actually like it a lot. Enough that I worked out something with them where that they would just send me the paper by itself. And that's the paper that I'm using to now bind all of my professional custom made sketchbooks. It's 100% cotton, 140 pound, cold press, acid free, has no cellulose content to it. It is sized both internally and externally. And I have really been enjoying kind of doing quick illustrations on it. Uh, it has taken quite a bit of wear and tear in some of those illustrations too. Let's be clear. All right, that's going to be the very light tabletop. We're not going to go any further with that. Let's see if we can put something back here in the background. Um, I'm going to turn this upside down, and I'm going to try not to disturb the tabletop. So I'm going to leave a little sliver right there at what would be my horizon, so that those paints don't run together. So, artistically, what do you all have planned coming up over your week other than my video release Wednesday and Christy's live on Thursday? And something else Christy did mention is that she's going to start back releasing pre-recorded videos on a more regular basis as well. I think the problem is right now is that all influencers, all YouTubers, especially those that are in the art arena, are having, you know, issues with the viewership being down. I'm using orange directly from this palette here. This color is called Permanent Orange Red to be exact. Um, the reference photo that I found to kind of, sketch this from, the entire background was orange. But I'm deciding to just go with just doing the upper part of the background orange and the tabletop a different color. Now I'm taking it up as close as I can to that horizon line and hoping that I don't get any back running or blooming into my tabletop. I will give you guys a quick glimpse in just a second of what's coming up for Wednesday's pre-recorded video. Now, if you're already following me over on Instagram, you've already seen me post the completed illustration where you can find all of the things that I create over on Instagram. And yeah, that's how that goes. And Patreon, I did finish up our illustration from last Monday night that we started. Mm, mm. Okay, I hope whatever's going on, whoever it is okay. I really do. So much going on in our world nowadays. I just want everybody to be okay. Get it together and stop acting like we don't need each other, because we really do. But I'm not one to get political or religious on this channel, so that's as much as I'll say about that. I don't know. That's a little light. It's going to shift quite a bit. I think I want to go in with a darker saturation of that color. Why not? I'm going almost straight from the pan with this. And now that I know I can get away with getting up to that table without it blooming into it, we're definitely going to do that as well. Now, as you can see, there is a slight bit of waviness with this paper, but it does dry down flat. The color is beautifully intensified like that, isn't it? Absolutely beautifully intensified like that. I love that. And it probably wouldn't be a color I reached for on a regular basis. So I'm kind of glad the reference photo gave me the idea. All right, there's our background. We'll just let that dry, and then we'll be able to move on. Let me see. Can I sneak that up a little bit more? Yes, I can. Look at that. Phenomenal. All right. Let me flip this back around. I'm gonna have to get out the heat tool in a minute so we can dry this to move on. All right, so I'm using yellow ochre here, and I'm gonna use this yellow. Oh, it's too much water in that brush. Let's pull some of it. Let's dry that. I'm gonna blot my brush a little bit, and I'm gonna put down a light coat of yellow ochre on the actual bread part of our donut. And okay, and then I'm gonna mix while we wait on that little bit to dry. You actually could go ahead and start putting in some some shadow here if you would like. I think I'm going to just to kind of speed things along a little bit. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of oh burnt sienna, and I'm gonna mix that with the yellow ochre, and then I'll go in right under the curve of the icing, and I want this to kind of blend together while it's still wet. We're gonna go back and do some stippling on that before it's all said and done. We're not going for perfection. We're going for you being able to recognize what it is, because I'm already at the point where I need to go ahead and wrap this painting up. All right. Let's go ahead and throw in. You know, I did not. I'm gonna show you what I didn't do, and I should have done. We're gonna take a little of that orange because this is a glass, right? And it would be you'd be able to see that wall color through the glass. I almost overlooked it. So I'm gonna go in and put a small tint of orange back there. And I'm not making it as heavy as the background itself simply because I'm going to be throwing other colors reflecting in that actual glass. So I guess this is probably more of a glass class than anything. I think I'll put a little bit more saturation in it. Don't want too much. It's always best to start light, and then increase saturation because it's easier to have it too light and go darker than it is to have it too dark and get it lighter, especially with watercolor. All right, now let's see what we can do about the coffee. I can't remember what's mixed right here, but let's use, ooh, what is this? That's burnt sienna. Oh, that's red ochre I was using. That's burnt sienna. It doesn't seem as red as I would expect a burnt sienna to be, but we're gonna roll with it. And into it, we're gonna mix what they're calling burnt brown, PBR7, which is actually the pigment number I'm used to seeing for professional Burnt umber. You also see the color in, you see that pigment number for burnt umber or burnt sienna and professional line. That's the PBR7. And I'm going to use mostly burnt umber in this. There's some burnt sienna in this as well, but mostly burnt umber. It really just depends on how you like your coffee. If you're like a black person, you like your coffee to be really black, um, no creamer or sugar or anything like that, then I would suggest you just using the straight burnt umber, maybe. Um, let's see if we can get this painted in here without it running. Um, I didn't pre-wet this first because I don't want too much of a shift. I'll be honest, I was kind of floored about what I was going to be painting with you guys today on this live before the video actually came on. I only decided on painting this at the very last minute, mainly because I really wasn't sure if we would be getting to painting today at all. Because what I really wanted to do was talk to you about the Artwell line of products and just kind of help them celebrate their 5th year anniversary of being in business. Now I'm going to make the icing on the donut a different color. In the reference photo is chocolate, but look how patchy and streaky that is. Which is making me believe I'm going to have to go and do a flat wash to really get that to look the way I want it to look. Which is no biggie. You guys know I'll do one in a heartbeat. And then I'm gonna, let's see, I need some more mixing room here. So I'll pull out my tray to utilize the wheels under the palette. And I'm gonna water, I need to water this down quite a bit. I'll just hold off on that because I need to let that dry. And I hate the streakiness of that. That's not cute to me. So I'm gonna switch over to, if I can find it, I'm looking for a smaller, here we go. This is a number 3 synthetic squirrel. I'm gonna try to do a flat wash real quick on this coffee because that just doesn't look cute to me. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna add water to the color that we were using, and then I'll start. Maybe I should use a bigger brush. Can't really find the exact size I'm looking for this. Not that one. I guess I'll go back to this number 8. Sorry if I had that where you guys couldn't see it. So what I want to do here, trying to hold this where you guys can see it is killing me here. So I'm gonna mix up some more of that burnt umber real quick. get it pretty saturated, pretty saturated puddle here. Put that down and then slowly move down the paper, keeping it wet. That way I can try to keep a uniform wash and get rid of some of that streakiness. Can't guarantee that I will be able to completely. Just remember that when you're doing a flat wash, you want to keep it wet as you work your way down and run out of water. I'm sorry, run out of paint on your bead. Just grab paint, start where you were, and then continue on down. And I'm trying to do this and stay inside my lines all at the same time. Which most of you know I can't draw or paint a straight line to save my life. But that's why I have my rulers. And when you get to the bottom, if you have any leftover puddly paint, just dry your brush and pick it up. Hopefully that's going to help eliminate some of the streakiness I had going on, because it was quite a bit just then. I'll rinse my brush, I'll dry it completely with a paper towel or a studio rag, and then I'm going to go in and sit it right in the puddle on the bottom just to make sure I drink up any excess. Don't want any back running or anything like that. All right, now that's definitely got to dry before I can do anything else with that. I'll switch back over to working on the donut really quick. I'm gonna grab um this is a number 2 round. This is a nylon brush, so I need to go in with, I'm gonna pull a burnt sienna here, still using burnt sienna, and let's mix it with a little bit of that original color I was putting in there, which was what uh the red ochre it was. Yeah, mix that with a little of the burnt sienna, smidge of the burnt umber, and then I'm just gonna go in and kind of stipple that right up under the area where there would be shadow from the icing. Okay, just make sure that makes sense to you. I'm going to put a very thin line of that on the bottom. All right, let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. Okay, I'll take yellow ochre and kind of stipple that in to meet up with The darker color I just put down. This is just giving my donut texture. Hopefully blending those colors so that it makes sense to you. No pressure painting. So not worried about the outcome. So very worried about whether you recognize the fact that it's a donut and a cup of coffee. I concentrate on making sure I get my values right, and that's about it. All right, let's see. That's gonna take a second to dry. That's still a little streaky to me, but that's okay. We'll put some shadow down on everything in a minute. We are dry enough to keep kicking. All right. What color icing do we want? Because we are gonna put chocolate on top of it. Orange and I don't know, blue. Orange, blue makes orange stand out. So you know what? Let's go with a blue. Let's do a pretty unusual. Here, let's do this peacock blue. Let's do a color we might not necessarily see on a donut. Fantasyland, remember? I love this peacock blue. It is made up of PB17, just in case you want to match it with a pigment you may have. Um, I'm not going to pre-wet my donut. I'm just going to go right in and start painting. This is a pretty color. I've seen peacock blue inside other sets, typically phthalo-ish. I like the fact that this one isn't. I do want to paint it pretty small, in a pretty small area here. I definitely want to keep everything wet until I get the whole thing painted. Because regardless of how good of a quality they are, they still a student slash artist grade paint. So there will be some properties about the paint that won't be like painting with a professional paint. So, just kind of is what it is. Nature of the beast when it comes to student grade. All right, let's see. Let's grab some of the darker color we mixed earlier. And let's go ahead and throw in a little shadow here. Under our donut, kind of ground it to our paper here. I really didn't think about what direction the light was coming from. I just put in a shadow. I just need to make sure that all my other shadows agree. Now, I'll be honest, although they crack a little bit, I do believe I like the tube paints a little bit more than I do the half pans. The half pans are just super convenient to open right away and go to painting with. All right, there's somewhat of a shadow. under the bottom of that. Where else are we going? Do I want to put another layer of blue on it? I think I do. So this is what happens when I get to painting with you guys. I always say, oh, I'm going to do something really, really quick. And then, yeah, I put way more effort into it than I initially planned on doing. Mainly because I try to make it worth you guys' while, I guess. Who wants to show up for a boring, uninteresting painting, right? All right. There's our second coat of that. Let's just let that dry. Then we'll go in and put in our center as well as, all right, for our little glass back here. Still sticking with the shadow color that we had. I'm using a really small round brush for that number 2. I'm gonna go back here and pick up some of this shadow color, make sure I get the very tip. You want a brush that comes to a really nice point for this. Get it on the tip here. And I'm gonna go in and slightly, with a very light touch, outline this glass. Now, what may end up happening here, I'm gonna be very honest, is that I may end up grabbing a black pen to speed this along. Actually, I think I'm going to. Let's let that dry. And versus going around that edge with black paint, I'm gonna use a fine liner. I'm going in with a black fine liner, and I'm gonna put in a very thin black line, which is essentially turning this into ink and wash. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can do this with a black paint you mix. You can do this with a pre-mixed black paint. I'm sorry, a gray you mix, should I say. Okay. um, Now I'm going in with right here in the center of my donut. So I'm going in with the lighter gray that I'm gonna do heavier towards the bottom of that opening where it would get darker at. And then towards the top of that, I'm gonna do that peacock blue. Let's get some more of that down. And what's gonna darken blue up? Red. We haven't been using a red, but we have been using this light red ochre. So let's use that to see if we can shade that blue. Ooh, yeah. Get it a little darker so we can get some contrast on the inside of that little hole there. It almost looks green. And then grabbing some more dark, that dark I mixed. I'm going to carry that on down with that dark. Hopefully giving it a open feel, but if not, oh well. Like I told you earlier, we're not really concentrating on caring about this being perfect. And for some reason, I just cannot get that bottom part dark enough. Uh, just let that dry. I might need to go back in and do something else with that because that looks terrible. It really does. See if I can lift some off the bottom there. Yeah, that looks pretty terrible. Can't win them all though, friends. You cannot win them all. Tell you guys that all the time. Let's peacock blue, which is the color we have on our for our icing. Some ultramarine blue into that. I'm just trying to get a darker color without having to put a Payne's gray or a black in it. And at this point, I'm just picking up too much water without trying to. Let's try this again. Add a little moisture to it. Ultramarine blue without wiping my brush. All right, let's see. I'm gonna just do the outskirts of my frosting here where there will be a little bit of darkness around the end. This is more like an illustration than a realistic-ish or a realistic painting, but hey. All right, let's see if I can get this back here to be a little better. That's that's not too bad. And let's see if I can make that stand out a little bit more. Way, way too detailed with this donut. Way too detailed. Didn't plan on doing all that. All right, I'm gonna put a little shadow, add a little water to that gray mixture I have. It's so small. And put just a little shadow under the area where the icing kind of cups over the donut. That. All right, let's work a little bit more on this coffee so we can go ahead and wrap this up for real. I'm gonna grab a little bit of the watered down coffee color that I was using, And we can actually kind of put that in the glass because it would be kind of reflecting, you know what I mean? Uh, let's, it's so dark that you really can't. I guess if I was going to really shadow that, I'm really going to have to use a flat. So let's see here. If we can mix up something that's remotely good. Let's start with the peacock blue. Let's add in some more ultramarine. Okay, a little bit more. Let's add in burnt umber. Let's see what kind of dark, what kind of neutral we can get here. It's almost Prussian blue. That's beautiful. I don't want Prussian blue. I want a gray neutral. So I'm gonna keep adding burnt sienna to that until I get that almost ink black. Although it will have sort of a gray green undertone to it. Let me add in a little bit more ultramarine. Help cool it off a little more. Okay, I think that'll work. That's pretty black looking. All right, let's see here. Where are we gonna need this? I'm gonna need this a little bit here to get that stand out. A little bit around the back corner there to help that stand out. We're gonna be going down the side here, right up close to the corner of the glass. Now, what I will normally do is blend this out, but I'm so scared this paint is gonna live. I don't think it's gonna be much blending. Just gonna have to go with the harsh shadows, which is perfectly fine with me. I don't mind. Like I said, as long as you get the idea of what I'm doing. Um, I'm going to water down a little bit of that right next to it. Plenty of water, just to have a cast reflection in my glass. And this is all just going to help it look more like glass when we get to adding the highlights. That's all. I know it doesn't really make a difference right now, but it will. All right. Let's see. We need to do the shadow up under our coffee. See, if the shadow is there, then the light's coming this way. Well, technically, I should take it out like this. Trying to see how to project this uh, this way. Then it'll be coming around like so. I guess it would connect into this shadow some. I don't know. I'm really just experimenting with where this shadow should go now at this point because I didn't give much thought to my light source to begin with. The great thing about this is that it's sedimentary though, using that ultramarine. Although I think that peacock blue is a little bit more staining than anything else. Not bad. Could be worse. Lightly shadow it. Leave a little bit of light in the middle, so I'm gonna darken up around the area that I'm like, okay, that's lighter than the rest of it. I don't know, maybe light's coming through it from the back. Blend those edges. Just redo this shadow just a little bit, make it a tad bit darker in certain areas so it stand out from the other shadow, which, like I said, has a green tint to that, which is fine. I didn't show you guys last week's. Um, After we finished last week's live, I told you guys that that was going to become a journal cover. Let's see. Anything else I want to do to this right off? Let's put in some where's some gouache? Let's use some gouache. I'm just doing stuff now. Let's use a metallic gouache to put on our little icing swirl on the donut. Let's do that. Let me see. Let's use some metallic gouache. What should we use? What should we use? Is there an orange metallic in here? Let's see. So we can kind of match the background. There's not. Hmm. Let's see here. Let's see. What do we want to do metallic wise? Let's get over here to the metallic colors. Let's see what will go good on our peacock blue. Um, 203 looks like it'll go well. Looks like it matches pretty well to the red orange background, which I still feel like I want to put another layer on. Maybe I should have just did the whole painting in gouache, who knows? But let's go with 203, and that is metallic orange yellow. Let's try that one. Let's get that. 203, here we go. Let's pull this out of here. All right, so there's our metallic orange yellow. Oh, and just so you know, this is what the bottom of the art wheel palettes look like. The cups fit down in there, and it has a hole in the bottom to help you put your finger in the bottom and push that cup up out of there to make it easier to get it out. All right. So, oh yeah, that's close, close. That's close, close, close. Super close. Love that. All right. Let's grab. Oh, what is this? Set number two we were working with earlier. And I'm gonna pick up a little bit of this gouache. We're gonna use it directly from, and see, this is where my issue comes in sometimes. I'm not a person who likes to paint from a wet product. And let's see, how could this be drizzling on from the side, maybe? Like that? No, like that. It will go across the donut like this. Okay. You can definitely see the metallic in it. It's so pretty. I know I got quiet for a moment. I'm just concentrating. Sorry. Just trying to get my metallic on. Now I should add some water to that. So it'll flow off my brush a lot easier. I was just being lazy. And I already know there's not going to be a huge shift with my metallic, so I'm not really worried about that. Although I will say, I have noticed that, you know, dilution will help kill some of the metallic sheen. So keep that in mind. Okay. Yeah, it's a pretty color, Terry. It's a pretty color. Um, I don't like the streaky background. I'm just cleaning the picture up now. Because the only other thing I'm gonna do is add highlights to it. Like I said, it wasn't it wasn't something we was gonna get too in depth about. But I do want to redo this background. It's a little streaky for me. And then afterwards we'll dry it and put on some highlights and call it done. And that'll be my illustration for coffee. Yep, that's how this gonna go. Don't talk about me. Ooh, you know what? Let's mix it. You know what? Let's be adventurous. Let's grab some metallic. Ooh, it's a lot of it. Mix it into a wash. Ooh, look at that, look at that, look at that. Gorge, gorge, gorge. Okay. And then let's grab some of the, what were we using? The permanent orange ready color. Let's mix that in with the metallic. Okay. Add some water to it. And let's go in here and see what we can do. Um, about a flat wash. Let's see what we can do about this. And keeping this cool, keeping it court. And then it might even have a little metallic sheen to the background. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you guys can tell by now that flat washes are one of my favorite techniques. It's such an easy way to get a even. Now, I don't normally do it with a synthetic or a nylon brush, mind you. I normally use a squirrel brush. It's gonna hold quite a bit of paint. But if you move quick enough, you'll be okay. And I need to move rather quicker than this before I run out of paint. Because I'm not sure if I mixed enough. But I definitely want to get rid of some of the streakiness. Come around my glass here. I almost want to say I really did get some oil on the surface of this paper. Think I'm gonna have enough to finish here. I'm hoping I'm gonna have enough to finish here. Ooh, I'm cutting it close. I'm cutting it close. I'm cutting it super close. There, we made it. And that will help eliminate some of the streakiness we had in that background. And who knows, maybe you'll even see a little metallic sheen in it. And I also think that it helps to push the shadow. It helps bring your eyes to the shadows more to help ground those objects. Okay. I'm drying and then I'm putting on gel pen and then we're calling it done. Okay, so that actually made that background look a lot better. Let's grab my white gel pen. Let's go to town here. I use the Una Mitsubishi Unisigno Uniball Signal white gel pen. It has never let me down. Some people say they clog on them. I hear you. I'm sorry that happens. I've never had that issue. But of course, I know that just because I've never had that issue does not mean it doesn't happen. Absolutely does not mean it doesn't happen. Um, let's let's see down this side maybe. Actually, I probably need to use bleed proof for that part, just because that gel pen is gonna get a little scratchy. So I'm gonna grab some bleed proof right quick. Love bleed proof. This is Dr. P.H. Martin's. This is one of the opacest white gouaches you could ever purchase in your entire life. Just like the name suggests, it keeps its opaque formulated to be so opaque that it helps to keep stuff from bleeding through. Um, which I think is pretty cool. Let's see, where is that glass of milk I was looking at? Let me see where the highlights are. So there is a major highlight right here at the top rim of that glass. There is that highlight is a lot more substantial than I had it. There is a little shine of something right here. Um, and I'm really just painting what I see. I'm literally painting what I see. Although what I'm looking at is milk and not coffee. Um, show there. And then there is a streak that comes down this side of the glass, stops about there. It almost looks like a crooked exclamation mark. Okay, it probably made it really look like an illustration at that point. But I'm okay with that. Alright, it's okay with that. Yeah. Let's see here. Alright, I don't know. Whatever. Let's put some highlights on the donut. Let's hit right around the opening of the hole. If your pen clogs up and the heat from my fingers normally help get it back to flowing. So I just kind of rub it on my finger to get it back to flowing. Hmm. And then of course there'll be some like crumbs, the donut picking up like hot, like little crumbs picking up specks of highlight. And then technically I could raise that, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna put highlight streaks directly on top of the icing. So maybe it'll look like light is reflecting off of something wet, maybe. I'm putting it right down the middle of that metallic highlight. And I really want to go in. Where's that black pen? Where's that black jet pen? Here. I'm going to go in and actually put a thin line on each opposite side of. So just know that whenever Thrifty say, "Oh, this is going quick," just throwing a little shadow. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and throw my little signature in the corner over there while I'm at it. And I am going to use this as my submission for coffee. So there we have that. Very straightforward. There, take a look at it. It's a you know kind of cute inky sketch. It's not anything too complicated, but you can definitely see it's a donut and a cup of coffee, and it got the point across. And let us do a little quick illustration together. So there you have it, friends. If you're here live and you've enjoyed anything that you've heard, saw, or just simply enjoyed hanging out today, don't forget to sprinkle a little love and give the video a thumbs up. If you are watching on the replay and you feel any of the same emotions at all, please don't forget to sprinkle a little love and give the thumbs up. Friends, I do encourage you to please share the videos, whether it's me, another one of your favorite YouTubers or influencers or artists. Share the videos. Share the videos. The algorithm is so much harder to get through than it used to be here on YouTube. And We do these things, one, because we love doing these things, two, because we love sharing what we're doing with the people who are interested. But it would also be nice to grow as well. So if you feel the need or the want to share, please feel free to do it. You can check the video description for all of the relevant links that are going to be associated with the channel from the Defiant Art website, which I encourage you guys to check out on a regular basis. All of the social sites, the Palm Street link in case you want to join us for Palm Street Lives and Palm Street sales. There's going to be the most recommended product list as well as the artist wish list in case anybody decides they want to donate something or contribute to the channel or the studio in any kind of way. Now, if you're returning, uh, and you haven't subscribed, or if you're here for the first time, do please consider hitting the subscription button and the notification bell so that you know when we go live, when we upload. And of course, the comment section is always open for any questions you have. I will get to answering those as quick as humanly possible. So that's it, my friends. Remember, as I tell you at the end of every video, go out, enjoy your week. Remember, I artsy love you. And as I always tell you, just keep creating, my friends. Thanks for sharing, View.